Someone mentioned to me recently that living in a monastery was a real ego buster. And so I've been musing over that, because in my mind I agreed, yeah. But it's like, well, really, what is that? And how would I agree to that? So what it occurred to me is there's another way to say that, and that is like the monastic schedule, the monastic training, and the whole monastic life is designed to help us identify the object of negation. Therefore, a real ego buster, right? So, and it is absolutely essential for us to identify the object of negation to do what we came here for, right? And we have to do it over and over and over again. So how fortunate we are. So, and we have to do this for eons also. So how joyful we can be about not getting discouraged and going forward. So, to review a little bit, what is the object of negation? Okay, so Lam Rim Chenmo, in the Lam Rim Chenmo, Lama Tsongkhapa goes on for a very, 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 very long time about helping us to try to identify what it is. And when we do the 4-point meditation, 4-point analysis, meditation on emptiness, then identifying the object of negation is the very first point, and it's the most critical. So I'm no expert on emptiness, but so don't think that I know what I'm talking about, but I know the outline. And the first step, like in general, the object of negation, you can say, is inherent existence. I mean, that is the object of negation. But as Venerable says, when we're doing the meditation on emptiness, we're not looking for the emptiness of the refrigerator. We are not looking for the emptiness of our bank account. We are looking for how this one appears. The inherently existent person who is this, who's the center of the universe, around which all of our things rotate, around which we, try to arrange the entire world to benefit this one. So we're looking for how the inherently existent I appears to our mind. And it's hard to see. Again, I'm quoting Venerable. She says, it's really difficult to recognize because it's present so much. It's what we swim in. We're living in it all the time. I mean, we're living in the vision. Everything is appearing inherently existent to us. I didn't, that quote, I just typed it again. That fact that for every single consciousness except in Arya's meditative equipoise on emptiness is wrong. Every single one, in that things are appearing to be truly existent to us when they are not. So that's stunning. Of course it's hard to see the object of negation. Extremely. And so when we go through life living in community, when things happen, as Venerable has advised us many times, and once in a while we remember to stop and look at the object of negation. Oh, how does the I appear to me in this moment? And then I hardly ever get to the next step that says, oh, I rejoice in the opportunity to be able to identify the object of negation so that I can understand the nature of reality more deeply. I hardly ever. Maybe I have never, but I think I must have, or at least it comes to mind anyway. And then the whole monastic life, to get back to my opening line, is about that. Bhikshunis have 348 precepts. All of them designed to help kind of guide us into a certain sort of mold. And every time we bang against it, that's the truly existent I coming up against it. We have all these training rules about comportment and how to behave, and what is our visualization as a monastic, and how are we appearing. I mean, this is really gross, coarse level even. But it's very hard for us to see it then, and then we come up against a challenge to that. Grasping at that self, becomes so strong. Even the more subtle ways of just like negotiating through life, But here in the monastery, where we have a little bit more space between, even though these things may hit a lot in a single day, we have a little more space in between to think about it. And that's our purpose for being here. So, they talk about calling it up on the meditation cushion by thinking of, getting a time when you're really, really angry or when you're accused unjustly for something. I personally find that when I'm super embarrassed, or when I feel this feeling like, oh, I've been betrayed, there's a disappointment. I think disappointment really is the biggest feelings. Those are the ones that come up big time for me, where there's a big hurt. And that's when Venerable says, look at the one who's hurt. Who is the one who's lonely? Who is the one who's disappointed? Who is the one that's not going to get to go on this trip? Who is the one who's got, all of these feelings that come up, especially when we're in a container that gives us a prescribed way of being. And so, to go back to, I want to quote Thich Nhat Hanh, where he talks about, in Joyfully Together, the art of building a harmonious community. He questions right at the beginning, why you come to a monastery? It's not to be loved. It is not to be reinforced as to who you are. It is not to be comfortable. It is not to be happy, safe, and secure. We come to the monastery to overcome our afflictions, stop our negative actions, develop bodhicitta, and realize emptiness. And community is the mirror, he says, the teacher, and the support. So it's not about being comfortable. It's about learning, slowly, that to recognize when the very gross level of the object to be gated is up. We can start to train our minds to go, oh, look, there it is. How does it appear to me right now? How does that appear to me right now? And then we use it as a resource when we're trying to refute it. This doesn't exist in the way it appears to me. Why? Because if it did exist in the way it appears to me, it either has to be one and exactly the same as the aggregates, or it has to be completely different. It can't be either one of those. And so then we have to look. Where is it? Well, let's see, is it in the body or is it in the mind? And we look, and we look, and we look, and sometimes we have a tiny fraction of a moment of going, it's not there. And those are moments that we can cherish and build on. And even if we don't have a moment of that, we're going to sit down and do this again, because that's our reason for being here. So I agree that living in a monastery can be a real ego buster, and that is what we signed up for. And so here we are. I wanted to add that the things that we're talking about, the really gross level of wanting things my way or whatever, that's not even the object to be negated. I mean, it's such a gross level, it's such a coarse level of the appearance of I, that I think Venerable Chödrön was talking about Khyentse Drangpa Tekchuk, saying that we're not even there close to getting to the very subtle one, or even the self-sufficient, substantially existent person. When we're at that level, we're kind of just looking at the self-centered thought and how it appears. But it starts to bring our attention into something that is more focused on how the I-grasping makes us respond to things. So I wanted to give an example of how that changes over the years from something that happened to me this morning. I just want to give this personal example. So I have been doing publicity and marketing for events since 1975. I have over 40 years of experience in doing this, right? So when I first came to the Abbey, that was an identity. Well, I still have it as an identity. I just told you about it, right? I know what I'm doing. I know how to do this. And so to get a suggestion about how something should be done, whether this is a good idea to write this copy in this way, or whether we should say this thing was like this, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm saying. I know what this means. So this I know what I'm doing is a part of what I have learned to sit down and go, okay, identify the object of negation. I know what I'm doing. So I want to just say that this morning I got an email in response to a PR thing that I had done, an email from our abbess saying that you probably shouldn't do this and this and this and this and this. And I can say with some satisfaction that even though I still wanted to note why I did what I did, the fact that we're not going to do that anymore, okay. So it's not it's not to laud that, but it is just to go, after being in the monastery for enough years, you sit down and go, how important is this? How important is it? Is my idea about how to do this the only right way? I went through a phase where like, it's her monastery, we'll do it her way. Or, that's not it either. That is totally not it. And it's also not accurate. It's our monastery. Or, it's somebody else has seniority, I'll do it their way. Totally not it. But it was a phase. But to actually sit with this, even though it's a very, very gross meditation, to sit with this over and over and go, okay, who is the I? What is so important about what I do? What is the object that I'm so attached to that needs to be done in this certain way? Examining each of these from the perspective of what is this really? Takes the pressure off having things done the way I think they need to do, and makes things much more expansive. So this is I know that this is an experience of maturation in the Dharma. I know this is an experience of this community because we've all changed. Every single person who's walked through this door and spent any time here has changed in that way. So I think the reason I wanted to add that is to get at, it'll be a long time before this one understands emptiness, realizes emptiness. But even looking once in a while, oh, look how the I is appearing, has a huge impact on how we relate to others, and begins to have a dampening effect on the arising of the afflictions, like pretty soon, much sooner than you would think. So it's more the feeling of to encourage people who are kind of like, oh, emptiness, next life, to look at this, because it helps. It helps a lot in our day-to-day activity. Tear cyclic existence to shreds. Yes. So that's what I wanted to add.